Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Berea City Council meeting, Tuesday, July 18th, 2023. I'll call the meeting to order. Madam Clerk, if you'd let the record reflect that a quorum is present. This time, I'd call on Councilman David Rowlett to lead us in the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance. David?
Okay. If you would, bow your heads. Father, we come to you asking for guidance and wisdom as we conduct the City Council meeting. Thank you for the freedom to gather and share ideas and our vision for Berea. We pray for our mayor, the city administration, and the elected officials gathered here this evening. With your blessing, please grant us the knowledge needed to govern in these challenging times as we strive to accomplish the unique needs of those we serve. Allow us to work in harmony, maximizing the abilities and talents of each of my colleagues as we strive to accomplish the work of the people. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, David. Next item on the agenda is approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
By Mr. Davis and second by Steve Cottle. Is there any discussion on the agenda? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The agenda is approved. Next item on the agenda is approval of the minutes. This is from the June 20th, 2023 meeting. Is there a motion to approve? By David Rowlett. Is there a second? By Teresa Centers. Any discussion on the minutes, changes, or corrections? Seeing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the minutes, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries and the minutes are approved. The next item on the agenda is ordinance number 05-2023, ordinance relating to alcohol sales, and this is the second reading. Mr. Gilbert.
Ordinance number 05-2023, having been previously read at the first reading and subject to an extensive work session, I will summarize the ordinance as follows. An ordinance of the City of Berea, Kentucky, repealing sections 56.001 through 56.006 of the Code of Ordinances relating to alcohol sales and providing for the license, traffic, and sale of alcoholic liquors and beverages within the boundaries of the City of Berea, by adding sections 56001 through 56005 and section 56099 to the Code of Ordinances.
Again, this is a second reading. Is there a motion on ordinance number 05-2023?
So moved.
Motion to adopt by Steve Cottle. Is there a second? By Jim Davis. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 05-2023?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like
Davis.
to make some amendments, please.
Okay, motion to amend.
It's on page 8 of 22, under G. It says hearings. All hearings for violation of any city ordinance shall be before the city alcoholic beverage control administrator. At this point, we'd like to insert and one of the following officials, mayor, city administrator, or police chief.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second to amend? Second by Cora Jane Wilson. And I'll repeat the motion. This will be under G, hearings. All hearings for violation of any city ordinance shall be before the city alcoholic beverage control administrator and one of the following officials, mayor, city administrator, or police chief. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend? Seeing none, all in the favor of the motion to amend, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries and the amendment passes. Mr. Davis?
Have a couple other changes we'd like to make, Mayor. These are on page 22, or I'm sorry, 12 of 22 under P. And from distiller's license, change to distiller's license Class A, parentheses, more than 50,000 gallons produced annually, fee of $3,000. And distiller's license Class B, parentheses, less than 50,000 gallons produced annually for a fee of $1,500.
What was the first one, Jim, on the Class A?
Distillers Class A, more than 50,000 gallons produced annually,
Is the fee would be what?
$3,000.
Okay. Let me, if, without objection, let me repeat that to make sure I have it right, and then we'll request a second. The motion would be under, on page 12, under P, distiller's license per annum, to change it from the current structure to read distiller's license Class A, more than 50,000 gallons produced annually, $3,000. Did you say Class B, Jim?
Yes,
Say one, Class
distiller's license Class B.
Distiller's license, Class B, less than 50,000 gallons produced annually, $1,500. Is there a second on the motion to amend?
A second.
By Cora Jane Wilson. Is there discussion on the motion to amend? Steve?
I sort of like the logic. I think I would suggest making B the same as Richmond or the counties, or the counties has 0, or I think that's what it was.
County of 0.
I would suggest making B match Richmond's at 500 in the intent that, and I think what your intent is, I don't want to assume, is that for a smaller business who's trying to start, we don't want to penalize them. And in the example where we would be trying to attract a smaller producer, we would actually, even by setting it at $1,500, be putting ourselves behind the 8 ball. Even at 500, we technically are, because the county's 0. But, and I don't know if I can offer a friendly amendment if you'd accept it, but I would say B should be 500 to match the city of Richmond, if that's our intent, to be competitive with our neighbors.
I think if somebody wants to come to Bread to do business, they'll pay the fee.
In that case, we would require a motion to amend the amendment, if you so choose. Otherwise, we'll stick with the motion in the second.
I think I would make a motion to amend the amendment to make B 500, and I would support that, because I think the spirit of what you're intending is to not penalize a smaller producer. And I think frankly, and this is not about your amendment, this is about most of our numbers are fairly arbitrary. We're pulling them out of the air. We don't have anything really other than comparison to the city of Richmond or Madison County to even gauge ourselves, because we didn't look at every city or county that has fees associated with it. So I would want to try to match for a group that we are particularly trying to give a break to because they're smaller. I would want to match Richmond. So I would make a friendly amendment to the amendment.
So there's a motion to amend the amendment under Class B to change that amount from the suggested 1,500 to 500. Is there a second? Second on the motion. Second on the motion to amend the amendment. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend the amendment? We'll take a vote. All in favor of the motion to amend the amendment, which would be to change the suggestion from $1,500 per annum to $500 per annum, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no.
No.
I'm going to rule that the noes have it, and that motion fails. Now we're back to the amendment that was offered by Jim Davis, which would be for distiller's license Class A, more than 50,000 gallons annually, $3,000 per annum. Distiller's license Class B, less than 50,000 gallons per annum, $1,500 per annum. Is there any further discussion on the motion to amend?
I would just make the comment that I don't support the idea of, I feel like we're arbitrarily penalizing a distiller, and we're setting ourselves apart from the two governments that are within 5 minutes and 15 minutes of us in a situation where I think it's based on economic development. So I don't know why we would want to charge them more than our neighbors.
Any other discussion on the motion? Katie?
I just also pulled up the state license fees, and I really do like the way, Jim, that you broke it down between the two different classes, because after the work session, I wanted to look at the state, and I think it's cool the way they do that, because I think that distinguishes like between the sizes and helps clarify our conversation. I do want to point out that for Class B, the state license is only $1,000. Class A is $3,090, and it is, some of these other numbers that we have in ours look very much in line with the state, and that 1,500 is the only one that's significantly different than any of the other state fees, so that's all. Thank you.
Other discussion on the motion to amend? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote on the motion to amend, and again, I'll repeat that. This motion on the floor is to change the fee amount on distiller's license per annum, Class A, more than 50,000 gallons annually, $3,000, Class B, less than 50,000 gallons annually to 1,500. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no.
No.
I'm gonna rule that that motion carries, and we are now back to the original motion to approve and adopt ordinance number 05-2023. Other discussion?
Yes. Go ahead.
Katie? We're back to the regular motion with both of those amendments that have.
I've got a couple of more amendments.
Katie, you have the floor unless you want to go to Jim, and then we'll come back to you. It's
Well, I
up-
just had a question. Is you have anything related to the taxes, the licenses, the 5% versus 6%?
No.
Okay. I just had a question.
I just had a clarifying question. I see that we have the regulatory license fee. It's been 6%, and now effective July 18th, it's going to be 5%. Can anybody talk about
I
that
can-
difference
I
and
can
our
do that.
budget?
My understanding, and correct me if I'm wrong, but my understanding is that corporate counsel and the city administrator looked, and the statute is that it's 5% is the limit.
I believe
KRS.
and the 6% was with the historic. Since we're regular, I believe, is the difference, but the KRS right now says 5, so.
So 5 is the maximum allowed per KRS, would be the answer to that question. Okay? Jim?
I've got a couple more. You want me to group these together?
We can do them one at a time if there's no
Okay.
objection, if you
All
have
right.
more amendments.
Again, this is page 12 of 22 under P. This is for the rectifier's license, change it from rectifier's license to rectifier's license Class A, more than 50,000 gallons rectified annually, $3,000, and rectifier's license Class B, less than $50,000, or 50,000 gallons rectified annually, $1,500 fee.
So let me repeat the motion, and I'll ask for a second. So the motion is to change the rectifier's license per annum from 1,000 to rectifier's license Class A, $3,000, more than 50,000 gallons per annum. And B, Class B, $1,500, and that would be for 50,000 gallons rectified per year or less.
Or less.
Less than that. Is there a second on that motion? Second by Cora Jane. Is there any discussion on the motion to amend?
I just want to point out that our Class B is almost double what the state license fee is, which is $825.
For rectifier? Okay. Any other discussion on the motion to amend? Steve?
I just repeat the same thing. I don't know why. I feel like, and this isn't directed necessarily at Jim, this is back to our discussion to begin with all of this. We talk about how we've complained in years past about being difficult to do business with. And I feel like this is the same thing, because we're arbitrarily raising expenses to be higher than our neighbors. And I don't think anyone, I wouldn't choose Berea over Richmond or Madison County if it's gonna cost me $1,000. I'm just not. I mean, we would hope people would, but I feel like we're arbitrarily being higher. I don't really understand why. I guess is that's probably my better point. I don't get it.
I got a question. Is, the license, but don't we get, if somebody moves here, don't we get tax off of this? I mean, the license is just a one-time,
License is once per year.
but do we get, how much tax do we get off, say if it is still reclaim? So we're gonna make our money off the tax. We're not gonna make money off these licenses, are we?
Well, you will, but not as much, yeah.
No, and you get it credited back as well. So the tax, the fee goes back. So like we said, if their fee was $1,000 and they paid $5,000 in taxes, theoretically they'd pay $4,000 in taxes because it would be a credit. The fee would be a credit.
Oh, is that, okay.
Thank you.
I thought the taxes is where the city might make some money, not off the license.
You're right. Yes.
That's what I'm trying to
Yeah.
explain. The license that's a one-time fee, but we're interested in getting tax off of the product is what I think we'd be interested in. Is that true or false? I don't know.
So to Steve's point, you're saying you would prefer to see that, as you mentioned before. I don't know if you guys want to make a motion or ask for a friendly
I
amendment.
learned a long time ago to not waste time on pointless motions, so I'm not doing that.
I've learned that too. So we do have a motion and a second on the floor. Any other discussion on the motion to amend? All right, seeing none, I'll repeat it. This is under rectifier's license per annum. Class A, more than 50,000 gallons per annum rectified, 3,000. Class B, less than 50,000 gallons per annum rectified, 1,500. That's the motion that we have on the floor, and I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to amend, please say aye. All opposed, please say no.
No.
I'll rule in favor that the motion carries with that objection. And Jim, you had another amendment?
Got one more. This is on page 13 of 22. It's about halfway down. Wait a minute here. Wait a minute here. It's the wholesalers.
Wholesalers is on page 12.
It's on page 12.
Wholesalers distilled spirits and wine license fee per annum, $3,000 is,
That's it. Thank you. Change the wording from wholesaler distilled spirits and wine license to wholesaler's license. I think that matches the states.
I think that's substantial enough that that would require a motion, which Jim has done. So this will just say wholesaler's license. Is there a second on the motion to change that to wholesaler's license? I hear Cora Jane with the second, and discussion, Katie.
So wholesaler distilled spirit and wine would be different than somebody who wholesales beer, right? So is that different from, so would you still have the malt beverage? I'm assuming it would be a distributor's license on page 13. That's my only concern with removing that language.
Mayor, would it be okay for Jason to for
With that
Chief Hayes.
objection, I will recognize the current ABC Administrator and Police Chief, Jason Hayes.
Thank you. So when I look at this and compare it with the state's license, there wasn't a one that's named how we've named it here. It's just distiller's license or, what's the other one? The wholesaler's license, I'm sorry.
So our descriptions don't match the state description in that case.
Yes.
But there is a,
I mean, let's do this one at a time. Let me come to Katie and then back to Steve. Katie?
So I just have a concern with removing that language because, for example, a brewery that was gonna self-distribute, which they can do in Kentucky now, we wanna be sure that they aren't gonna have to pay a $3,000 license, which is the same as, you know, what the huge national wholesalers would have to pay. Can we keep in this malt beverage distributor's license? Because that seems to me like a beer distributor, a beer wholesaler, basically. So I just want to clarify that we're not getting rid of that.
We're not
That's-
getting, that, the motion was not to get rid of the malt beverage distributor's license.
But I
Only-
fear that removing descriptive language from wholesaler will make it harder to understand who that applies to. That's all. So,
And, go ahead, Jay.
I'm not an expert on this. When I look at the state's licenses, I can't see that one as one of them that exists at all. It looks like it's just a wholesaler's license or a distributor's license. And I figured that maybe be all like, that's where it all comes from. But if there's a lesser license that just includes those, it's something I would need to find out through the state. I'm not certain on that. I'm not an expert on this, so I'm learning just like you guys are. So I just know when I was trying to create the application for the local license, I couldn't find how we had worded this license at all. Right. It's just in the states, it's wholesalers or distributors, not how we've worded it here.
So would the wholesaler license then include spirits, wine, and malt beverages? Would it be?
I'm assuming so, but like I said, I'm not an expert. This is something I could try to find out through the state to make sure we're not, I don't know, hurting ourselves here. But when I'm looking at their application and like how they have it, it's not even included as a license that's available. So maybe our attorney could shed some light on that. If it's something that is available, there's a separate license or something that just covers those.
The definition of a wholesaler is any person who sells at wholesale any alcoholic beverage.
is that in this document?
It's on page
Definition's
8,
there.
top of page 8.
Let me go to Steve Cottle, is waiting to comment, and then I'll come to Jerry Little.
well, I don't, this is probably a question that we would have to ask the state. But I think that a microbrewery or a brewery has its own abilities, to Katie's point, to distribute, and I don't know that they even have to have a separate license as long as they just distribute for themselves. That's probably a question for the state ABC. And given the fact, it's important for us, given the fact that we already know there's a microbrewery who is planning on expanding to Berea, so we don't want to screw that up and cost them $2,500 in the case that, you know, if, I don't know that it would prevent them from doing anything, but we probably do need to get clarification, and we could always amend in the future if we needed to,
Fair enough.
if
We
we're
can do that.
wrong.
See Casey Botkin back there taking notes. No pressure, Casey. Jerry Little?
I've just got a question. What was the reasoning for us not having the same fees as the county and the city? Why didn't we all have the same fees? What's the reasoning for that? I don't know.
I
We went
can
over
just,
that last week, Jerry.
yeah, I can just repeat what corporate counsel suggested, that we wanted to list all the different options that are available through the state in case someone does apply, that there's actual documentation of that and a fee that goes into the city for the extra police services that we'll have to provide for those businesses. That was the reasoning that that's what we discussed with corporate counsel. It was better to have a comprehensive list, even though you may never get any of those in Berea. In fact, there are probably a lot of these that we'll never get, but if we do, we have a provision for it and don't have to amend our ordinance for one business.
I would just make the point, that's applicable to the county, because they left them out. In the example of the city of Richmond, we've just picked different ones to change. That's that's the only thing I can.
I want to steer us back to the motion real quick, because the motion is to modify under P, wholesalers distilled spirits and wine license per annum, to say wholesalers license per annum. And is there any further discussion on that? Katie?
So if we vote on this today, are we gonna have our ABC folks confirm that it's not gonna mess things up and we can amend it?
Rose and Jay and Casey can do that.
Okay,
If we vote on this amendment. And, other options that would be available would be to amend the amendment, or if the maker of the motion and the person with the second, I'm not saying they should, but those can be withdrawn with that objection as well. And I'm not sure what the will of the council is here, but right now we do have a motion and a second on the floor, and we're in the discussion phase on that motion to amend. Any further discussion? At this point, I'll ask for a vote on the motion to amend, and again, to repeat, this would change wholesale distilled spirits and wine license to read wholesaler's license per annum, $3,000. Amount stays the same. All in favor of the motion to amend, please say aye.
Aye.
And all opposed, please say no. Motion carries, amendment carries.
One more.
Go ahead,
and
Jim.
I will be finished.
Okay?
I promise. I thought it was the last time. Again, this is on page 13 of 22. And this is kind of lining things up with the state's language, from malt beverage distributor's license to distributor's license.
Is that the $500, Jim,
It's,
Or, yeah, yes.
okay.
in the middle of page 13? Okay, so this is under P. Let me repeat the motion, make sure I got this right. This is on page 13 of the ordinance under letter P. Currently says malt beverage distributor's license per annum $500.
Yes, sir.
And the motion is to change that to say distributor's license per annum $500. Is that
Right.
correct? All right, there's a motion on the floor. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Teresa. And is there discussion on the motion to amend? Seeing none, we'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to amend, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries, and the amendment carries as well. So Robin, I hope you got all that. Thank goodness for video and Robin to capture all that. Any other discussion? Now we've had several motions to amend, and we're now back to the original motion, which is to approve and adopt ordinance number 05-2023 as amended. Any further discussion on the motion to approve and adopt the ordinance? Seeing none, we'll request a roll call vote on that. Start with Jim Davis. Jim?
Aye.
Teresa Centers?
Aye.
Katie Startzman?
Aye.
David Rowlett? Jerry Little? Steve Cottle?
Aye.
Cora Jane Wilson?
Aye.
And Ronnie Terrell. That motion carries, and ordinance number 05-2023 is approved and adopted as amended. Thank you all. It's good discussion. Appreciate everybody's input. Next item on the agenda is ordinance number 06-2023, revised pay scale, and this is the first reading. Mr. Gilbert.
An ordinance revising the authorized positions assigned pay grade and pay scale. Whereas the City Council of the City of Berea recognizes that the city's authorized positions assigned pay grades and pay scale must be updated from time to time in order to remain current and to maintain an effective and efficient workforce. Now therefore be it ordained by the City Council, City of Berea, Commonwealth of Kentucky. 1, that the personnel policies of the City of Berea are hereby amended by the attached exhibit. Section 2, the pay grade and pay scale herein shall be effective as of July 1, 2023. Section 2, that all ordinances or parts of ordinances in conflict herewith are repealed. This ordinance shall be published according to law.
Thank you, Jerry. And again, that's the first reading of ordinance number 06-2023. I'll note that the pay scale with the new grades have been provided to you with the positions that fall within each one of those grades listed. And per past practice, even though this is a first reading with the second reading scheduled for August the 1st, I will open the floor for any discussion or comments on the first reading. Any discussion or comments? Okay, seeing none, we'll move. Cora Jane, I'm sorry, go right ahead.
I know that we've met and kind of gone over this, but it wasn't really to go over it. But, could we have a meeting?
Certainly. Work session before
Yeah.
the August the 1st meeting?
Okay, thank
That'd be fine, no problem. We can go through it. Okay, any other comments or discussion on the first reading of ordinance number 06-2023? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward. And the next item on the agenda is appointment of alcoholic beverage control ABC administrator. As you know, the new ordinance does require council approval of the city's ABC administrator, and I'm recommending Casey Botkin to fill that position, captain on the Berea Police Department, Casey Botkin. Is there a motion to approve my appointment by Steve Cottle? Is there a second by Jerry Little? Is there any discussion on the motion to approve my appointment of Casey Botkin as ABC administrator for the city? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries, and Casey, congratulations. Thank you for your willingness to serve. Look forward to you working on that. I know that you're up to the task. Yes, Jerry? No, sir, that would be under city administrator's report. Yes, sir. The next item on the agenda is department head reports, and tonight I'm happy to welcome back Business and Tourism Development Director Donna Angel, who I think has survived and recovered from the Craft Festival. So Donna has all kinds of good information to bring us up to speed on, and it's a very opportune time for Donna to report to council after a successful Craft Festival. Donna, you have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, City Council, City Administrator. I barely found my legs, so I'll try to stand on them as much as possible. I'll start with business development as our first report for the evening, and I'll try to be brief so that we don't have a history book, but it's hard to be brief when we have 3 divisions that we want to cover tonight. So to bring you up to speed, our small business openings for the year to date has been 39 versus 31 this time last year. So this year has been a really aggressive year once again. So that's really good for Berea. We have sold 4 commercial properties recently, not we the city, but through business development. 4 commercial properties that were sold for housing development, which is a much needed thing. The Codes Department speaks often about all of the development going on and the housing market, how it is very good here in Berea, and it has been a long term coming, but we're glad it's here and developing right and left. We also sold 2 commercial lots at Exit 77 that will be corporate chain restaurants. Those are both pending, waiting on some information from the state on some issues there, but I think those will really help Exit 77 to go to the new degree that we've wanted it to grow. We've kind of hit the Walmart area where it's very, very full, and tight in that area. So we have the other ends to Richmond Road and exit 77 that we have room to grow and expand and continue our economical growth in those areas. We currently, one of the new things that House Bill 8 brought to us a few months back that went into effect in January was our campgrounds, that we can now include those in our transient room tax for tourism. So we do have a really interested person looking, more than one person, but in the investors group that is looking to purchase land here in Berea for an additional campground. So that would be, I think we can fairly see after this past weekend and with our learn shops here, that is a need that we could take on another good campground. They're always sold out with all of the Interstate 75 travelers that are now staying there as well. As you know, we did have a couple of hotels that we lost. So when we lost that, we lost 111 rooms, so that really did cut down on things there. A campground, they're very sophisticated today, and they offer a lot of amenities, so I think that we stand a good shot of getting that added to here in Berea as well. We also want to make you aware that the Fairfield Inn Marriott next to the Holiday Inn Express did sell. The new owners are converting that to the Comfort Inn and Suites hotels. So they are working aggressively on that, and it's looking very attractive, and they're still trying to be open with a few rooms available to help out as well. So that's good. Hometown Inn next to Cracker Barrel, you probably know by now that that property did sell, the hotel did sell. We do have new investors in with that, and we are excited to announce that we will have a Starbucks. A contract has been signed with that, and we also have an additional lot there that will be potential property for another strip center or another business to go in there as well. They're waiting on bids right now for demolition on that, so that's coming pretty quickly. I talked with one of the investors yesterday, and they have 2 of the 4 bids that back in for the demolition service. So, and they were very good to use some of our local for bid references too for the demolition work, which was very good. On the business development side, we hosted 3 complimentary community business classes so far this year. Our goal was to do 4, but I think we're going to hit 5. In talking with a lot of our small business owners, there's still a lot to operating a business coming out of COVID that concerns the business owners on their business management style. So we've tried to work with them and other leaders, teachers that can pitch in and offer complimentary service teaching classes to them. But one of the big things has been really on tax planning and filing their taxes and being able to know more about the legitimate depreciation pieces that follow and so forth. So I think that class will do extremely well for the new small businesses and the existing businesses that want to attend. The marketing and advertising class was quite well. I think we got good response off that. The third one that we did was budget preparation. We still find that a lot of the artists, craft makers, small businesses don't plan a budget to operate their businesses on. And I think that by working with them and the Small Business Development Center, we find that the more we educate them and teach them how to prepare a budget and really stay on target with it, has made a difference in our city on long-term sustainability of their businesses. So several have asked to have that back, so we will do a second class on that as well for the small businesses. We'll be bringing back a 101 accounting class, and some of the industry has inquired about maybe a resume class, and that their HR people would like to sit in with us on writing that program so that they can be a part of teaching the classes of what is the real need and what they look for in that resume that fits their development piece that they're hiring for. So I think that will be a very big help to our industry as well here. On the industry side, Mayor Fraley announced last week our new Hitachi automotive expansion in Berea with bringing 167 new employees here. So we are excited about that to no end, and Hitachi themselves are very pleased and excited to have that new GM product being made right here in Berea with us. Hitachi Electric Motors, we had a hiring event for them last week, and this is kicking off their second phase of how they followed their plan all along on the Honda engine piece, of where they still want to do 165 to 200 employees. So they had exceeded their 110 at my last report that I gave you. So they are now hiring the extra 65 workers for their second shift. We had a good hiring the other day. I think they were well pleased and probably hired 50% of the people that came in, so that met their goal right away to start with, and their goal was to hire 20 right away for the second shift, and they did that, which was great. Motor Wheel, we spoke a little bit about them in our last meeting. They too are on a ramping up stage. They're doing wonderful there. The mayor and I were invited to a little celebration of their facility, and they did the tour with us, and they have a really exciting robotic paint booth that they're going to be gearing up hiring people for second shift there as well. So that shows us that our industry is really moving along to be able to bring this many employees back into Berea, Kentucky. So they have an estimated need of 200. Our last hiring event that we did for them recently, we hired 29. Our first one was 19. So they are moving aggressively, as they said they would, but with great caution. This last hiring was for welders, so they met their goal and what they needed for that. So that was wonderful. KIUSA, we want to welcome their new Vice President, Ted Wilson, to KIUSA. I think he will do wonderful, good, innovative things, and is very receptive and willing to work locally in the community and to be a corporate sponsor in any way that we can for different things that are going on in our community. Kentucky Career Centers with the Bluegrass Ad, which we work closely with on all of our hiring events, have written a grant, and they've been able to put back in place a consultant for hiring back and working more with the local industry on an apprenticeship workforce program. So that is available now, and we're going to go back out into the market trying to promote that through our industry and some of our school programs as well. And Ignite will be working with us as well on those programs. A compliment to Kentucky. It was an article I read the other night in the Lane Report that lists Kentucky as the #1 state for economic development, followed by Texas, Tennessee, Alabama, Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi, and Oklahoma. Those are all states that you really wouldn't think would have been so top-notch and wanted and desired by site selectors. But there's a lot of factors that were in the article that pertain to that. But for the second year in a row, Kentucky has been a major player in all of our economic growth, and it's well recognized for that. So I'll move on to the tourism piece. Our tourism, we've wrapped up the summer planting for all of our flowers throughout Old Town, and bringing some up into the Chestnut Street area as well. We try to add more and more to each new thing that we do. We added the bicycle art as well, which was an instant success, and several have written wanting more bicycles around town, so we'll work with Public Works on that as well to put out more. Those are not just something that can be used for the summer, but we find ways that we can use them for decorative art, fall, winter, spring, summer, the whole season. So I think that is a relatively inexpensive thought, and again, that came from Susan Meeks in our finance department, that she saw it somewhere along with some others, so it worked out great for her to bring that to us. We completed a very successful L&N Day car show in June. We topped off the biggest crowd we've ever had in history, and that was 1,100 people. A lot of the accomplishments that will go to the Berea Volunteer Fire and Rescue Department, doing a car show in with that, and all in one area. So it really did make a difference. We had more attendance from children and families than we ever had in the past. So it was really good. We had new vendors that participated in it this year, and we again did more marketing. Our Right Place Media Company really did some in-depth searches on finding people of interest in trains, and we did more advertising in the Alabama, Arkansas areas of things like that, which we did have visitors come from 7 states that did participate and come to the car show and train show as well, which was really interesting and good, but very good. We participated also in the Madison County Library event along with KET TV. That was really a wonderful educational piece that we forget sometimes. What we say we do, we show, we groom, that our children pick up from us. So I think education is one thing that the families are really starting to see how much COVID affected some that didn't get all the attention in schooling and so forth. So a big focus of that was on recognizing homeschool as well as the classrooms, and what a great recovery job that's all been doing. It was really a great program, and it was held at the Madison County Library here, and it was very well attended. We have 2 quilt shows that will be hosted in August at Boone Tavern. It's been a long time since Berea has really done anything with the quilts, and in talking with a lot of local craft makers here, the quilts are really still a highlight of people that really do have an interest in that. So when we reached out to 2 organizations on the California West Coast side and the East Coast side, they were excited to be invited. Most people wouldn't think California would have an interest in quilts, but they have a huge following and many organizations of quilting there in different venues and so forth. So I think that was a new turn for us. They too have a conference scheduled, both of those for 3 days in August. So we've agreed as tourism that we will collaborate with each conference piece, and we will work with local merchants here in our own town to highlight shops that have quilts available and are still producing them by hand, and just drive more of that. So we will have open houses where you can quilt shop hop during the time that both of these are going to be happening here in Berea. Our Festival of Learn Shops kicks off this Friday. We are excited about that. I think we're excited about that. We have 425 tickets that have been sold already. We have 92 instructors that will be teaching all these classes. It's a huge event. It's probably our second biggest ever in history, so we're really excited about that. I do want to compliment and thank Berea College for opening up several dorms for us and allowing us to use their classroom spaces. When you start putting 92 teachers out there, we need a lot of space. So you will see our traditional long, skinny colored flags at all of the locations where the classes will be taught, with a sign saying Learn Shop classes. So if you see an instructor, stop and thank them. They're coming from all over the U.S. to teach here, plus our own locals. They'll be staying in our hotels for 10 days. So our hotels reported that they are booked once again. They were booked for our craft festival as well. Our campgrounds were filled. So once again, the following 2 weekends, we have great business for our gas stations, our restaurants, and our hotels through the work that tourism is out there doing. Our tourism spring concerts kicked off, and we got a few more. We canceled July and August because it was so hot last year that we had a lot of complaints about the heat. So we canceled those, and then when we canceled not doing them this time, we got more calls about why we canceled, and they wanted them back. So we're going to roll out August, with more local community artists and singers for the month of August, with our concerts back at the pavilion as well. One last thing on tourism, we have a wonderful lady who resides here in Berea that's very active in bringing conferences to our city in different venues and subject matters, and she's reached out to let me know that she will once again this September be bringing a bicycle group to Berea, biking across America. So there will probably be close to 125, 150 of those that will be also staying with us in Berea for that conference, and we appreciate that greatly. We also have added this year 2 motorcycle clubs that will be joining us for our conference at Boone Tavern Hotel as well. This is Back Roads Across America, and their mission is to travel the back roads by motorcycle and casual trips and so forth. So they each, the 2 clubs that are coming, have met with us here in Berea, and they do each one have a minimum of 55 that will be attending each conference. So that's a whole new avenue that's opened up there as well. Moving on into the Berea Craft Festival, I'm pleased to tell you that the Craft Festival was quite wonderful. It was a very successful event. I want to start by saying, as the city took it over this year, the council members, Teresa Centers and Ronnie Terrell, we thank you both very much that came out and worked with us. Our tourism commissioners, Rick Thomas, Bill West, and Mary Ann, Christy Napier, Laura Carpenter, Randy Carpenter. Everyone pitched in, along with our staff employees and our tourism staff as well, to really make this a successful, smooth festival. And I can tell you, with the chaos that we went through, it did come out very smooth. So we were incredibly blessed with the rainstorms that kept coming and pushing us down, but we got back up and we carried on with it. And the vendors were never bothered or upset about it. Several said, it happens every year. We don't worry about the rain, So thanks to Public Works for bringing in Berea Utilities, because we were able to use some of the wood chips from our police range that's being worked on, where we had trimmed some trees and so forth. So we had actually I think we had 3 ton truckloads of wood chips on site that we went through in a day and a half. So we had an abundance of straw bales that we ordered because we knew it was going to still rain. And we used we probably didn't have 3 bales of straw to take back, to Public Works. So everyone pitched in and made it really, really great. The vendors reported that this was Friday and Saturday sales were excellent days for them. They were hysterically happy with their sales, and the rain, they're just used to it. They did not let that damper their spirits at all. We lost 2 vendor booths from, I guess it was Saturday's latest storm that kind of came through there. It went a lot longer than we anticipated, and the rains did come down pretty hard, and it did squash their tents. I don't think their merchandise was all that damaged, but they did not want to display it anymore. So they did have to vacate and leave the site. But everyone else stayed. They had zippers on their tents and were quickly able to secure their merchandise and hunker down until it was over. And then, again, thanks to Public Works, we had their street department was there right away to grab the bales of straw and get them to the tents in front where people were walking. We did not have vendors or tourists that left the site. Everyone nestled in under the booths or found a tree and just hung out. Sales kept going. I happened to be at the shack where we were collecting the entrance fees, and this man comes up and he wanted 6 tickets, and it's pouring as much rain as you could ever imagine. And I said, would you like to wait to see if it's going to slow up? Oh, no, we're here, you know. So they stayed, and they did hunker down for a while. But people like that, they just came anyway and made it a great trip for them as well. We did, each year we do a survey in our parking lot counting the different vehicle states that are attending here. And again, we had 40 different states that were present for the event. So we also had 15 states of new vendors that participated this year. So I think the success comes from a lot of pre-planning and trying to find and reach new vendors that have not participated before, but with quality merchandise product that would be desired. The people that come to these festivals come with surplus income, and they're there to shop and buy. I mean, I had probably 15 different vendors that quoted me on Sunday night that had over 30,000 in sales that they did. So they were extremely pleased with just everything that they had taken in and worked on as well. I want to compliment Berea College also again. We've never in the past been able to have their maintenance facility or their electrical team on site with us. And Saturday was a day that we desperately needed it because we did lose power quite a bit. One phone call, and Joe, don't know his last name, but I'll find Joe somewhere. But Joe was there within 10 minutes each time I called and had everyone back up and going right away. So they were a really great support this year. They also allowed us to use the parking down at the old forestry building, which we desperately needed. By Saturday, we were drenched. Sunday morning was pretty rough in the field that we park in, so we could not use that. One phone call to Derek Singleton, and he was very immediately, yes, by all means, use it, you know. So created a little more hustle to get a couple of vans out there from tourism. So we created our own taxi service, bringing them back and forth, but that worked out quite well. And the golf carts used the side trail to bring them up, and the tourists love that part, you know, because it is a beautiful scene through there. It's a mile long, but nobody said a word about that. So that worked out extremely well. I want to thank the Berea Fire Department and the Berea Volunteer Fire and Rescue Department as well. We had during that storm, or before or after, I can't remember, that Saturday, but we did have a huge tree that fell completely over the road down at the foot of the entrance there, backed up traffic all the way to Boone Tavern Hotel. I mean, it was really backed up. But they were just really quick. The Berea Fire Department and Rescue Team also participated in a booth next to us at the information booth at the festival. They heard the call and they immediately jumped up, just like our fire department does all the time, without hesitation. We're out of here. We got a call. So they had the mess cleaned up down there in 20 minutes flat. I'm not kidding. And to watch them work, and they started with an axe and a tree, and you know, the next thing I know, they've got chainsaws. Berea Fire Department showed up with a chainsaw, and they had it cleared, and traffic moved swiftly right on in, and just great partnership there. They were wonderful. The Berea Police Department also had a booth, and I've received 13 different emails. I started forwarding them to Rose, and I just stopped because I couldn't forward all those, you know. But they were complimenting the police department for being visual and being on site as well for the festival. We don't think about what that means to other people, but it obviously means a lot to the vendors and the tourists as well. having your presence there. So we appreciate, Chief, you guys having a booth as well there. The hotels, reported, as I stated earlier, full capacity. We are currently about 450 hotel rooms, and the week prior to the festival, 400 rooms were sold out for 4 straight days in a row. Our campgrounds were completely sold out. We had one vendor that was asked to leave the campground because they just could not commit to them staying there all 3 days, and we had to make some calls on that, but they all worked it out where they shared a spot, you know, with someone else, and it worked out very, very good. But our campgrounds and that was just absolutely wonderful, you know. So, I'll close by saying this festival, was our most successful in history all the way back to 2004. That's all the documentation I have on to go back on myself to search for. But when COVID hit, we reported in 2021 our biggest record breaker attendance ever, and that was at 8,100 people. And I am pleased to say that in this year that we broke that record by hosting 8,395 people to our festival in Berea. So it was truly a great festival and all around well received. We had new vendors, new food vendors, entertainment. So I think it worked out to be just what we needed it to be for Berea, and we will continue to work on making it bigger and better. Sets a bigger goal for next year, you know. So I will close now before I get in trouble here, and if anyone has any questions, or I will take my seat.
Thank you, Donna. Questions for Donna?
I don't have a question, but I have, I heard a lot of, I was working, and I heard a lot of compliments about the festival and about how neat, and even though it rained, how you all had straw and all this stuff out, and it was so nice. So I did want to tell you that, but I also had 2 ladies in today, and they'd went on the tourism's website about things in Berea, and they had come here to stay for 2 or 3 days, 2 retired teachers, 2 different states, but they went to school together, and they had been up on Chestnut here and to Wildflower Boutique, and they said they liked it so good they went down to another shop and they just had to come back.
We love stories
But they were
like
bubbling
that.
over telling me about how good they liked it and the website that they found everything, and that's how they found us.
Very good.
And so they were just excited and said they would be back, and they were telling others. So I
Very
want to
good.
share that with you.
I will share, I almost forgot this, and I didn't have it in my notes here. But this was the first year that we actually had motor coach bus attend our festival. Ethan Sima, our motor coach specialist, worked that in with a tour group that was on their way to Tennessee, to Dollywood. And they were staying over at the Holiday Inn Express, and they had 4 hours to kill. However, the bus said he did have to sit still for 45 minutes waiting to get to the festival. But it was really great to have that 55 different people attend that from a motor coach as well. So that's something new that we added, you know, which was good. But thank you, Courtney.
Other questions or comments for Donna? Teresa?
Donna, I know you want to sit down, and you deserve to sit down. I'm just curious, do you have reporting on the Airbnbs and whether or not they all got booked up for this weekend, or do they report to you?
They do not report to me.
Okay.
That comes straight through the city. But several have called because we have a list that we send out with the vendor packets that are traveling to come here for the booth rentals. They want to know where they can stay, where do they eat. So we have the whole restaurants, and every restaurant in town is listed, and every hotel, Airbnb, and campground is listed on that. But
just
7
curious.
reported that they were full with the craft vendors themselves
Oh,
that rented them.
that's really good.
So-
And I was thinking that would probably fill the void of one of those motels, or sort of fill the void, but I can attest that it was a huge crowd. They were way past my house by 10 o'clock. And that doesn't happen. It's usually, afternoon, but it was a big crowd.
Some of the people that were bragging on you to feed off of Teresa's were staying at an Airbnb. that were at the Antique Mall and how good it was. And it was around here, Laura Hayes,
Yeah.
Laura Carpenter.
Carpenter? Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's good. Everybody got a good piece of the business, so.
Other questions or comments for Donna?
Rick,
Ronnie?
know if he gets a raise next year for
Tell Rick we'll let him negotiate with Donna, so, after she rests. Donna,
I already owe him a pie, you know.
Donna, thank you, and if y'all couldn't tell, Donna's been really busy. She stays busy, but especially this time of year. So Donna, thank you for your report, and would any other department heads like to address the council? I'll recognize Kevin Howard, Utilities General Manager.
Good evening, Council. Mayor Fraley, Administrator Beverly. I've got one item I wanted to briefly bring to your attention tonight. With the last passing of the budget, you may recall that I had a backhoe that was in that budget in the water division. Over the last couple months, we've been bringing in vendors, been bringing in some demo models, and wanted to seek approval tonight. We've selected a Boyd Cat 416 as a model that we'd like to move forward with the purchase. It is on the state master agreement. It's a total of $136,467.45. That is slightly under what we had budgeted of $150,000 for this unit. It came down to two models. The other was also on state pricing contract. It was a John Deere. That was $138,000. So we've had this unit. We actually kept it for a few days. Another contributing factor is this unit is immediately available out of their Lexington office. So with approval, we'd like to move
What's the
forward.
company name that you want to purchase it from?
Boyd Caterpillar.
So the request is to purchase backhoe from Boyd Caterpillar at the state master agreement price of $136,467.45, correct? Is there a motion to approve that purchase?
So moved.
By Mr. Cottle, is there a second by Cora Jane Wilson? Is there any discussion on the motion?
I've got a question after the vote on that step.
Sure, you want to ask that now, Jerry, or you want to wait?
I'm just waiting.
Okay. Any questions or on there, or any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. The motion carries. Thank you, Kevin. Jerry?
Thank you.
What, I see you've got two backhoes down there now. One of them's broke down. Is that correct? It's been tore up for quite a while, hasn't it?
You're hitting a sore spot.
Are we gonna-
We have two backhoes. This backhoe will actually be replacing we've got one unit that is barely operational right now. It's a 2012, and this unit will be replacing. The unit that we have operational right now is, we had a transmission that failed under warranty. The second transmission failed just out of warranty. We're on the second engine, and we're currently having turbo engine and transmission issues out of this backhoe. So
We're gonna surplus it then?
that is gonna be the one that's surplus.
When we gonna surplus it?
Actually, Ms. Adams, I asked her for the surplus list with this approval. I'll check with Administrator Beverly on tomorrow. If I can get it on this surplus list, I would.
But it's been tore up a long time, hasn't it?
We've had issues with those backhoes for 2 years.
I thought it'd been tore up quite a while. Okay. We need to surplus it and get rid of it.
Yeah, we really need
Okay.
this one. We're thankful that we were able to get this one quickly, so.
No, I thank you.
Thank you, Jerry.
Appreciate the approval.
Kevin, anything else for the benefit of the council?
1 year. I started to say proper to proper, but it's a 1-year comprehensive warranty.
Kevin, anything else? All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Any other department heads that would like to address the council? All right, seeing none, we'll move forward, and I will ask if there's anybody that would like to comment as a member of the public tonight. And seeing none, we will move to the city administrator's report. Rose, I won't forget you this time. Rose Beverly.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and council members. So, Jerry was asking earlier about a bid opening, and I think he's referring to the bid opening for interior and exterior renovations for the toll building. That bid was put out, and the bid opening was held on June 14th for the renovations totally. And as you know, this council approved $600,000 to do these renovations in the line item of tourism, the building renovations line item of the tourism fund for this budget. And we received 2 bids. Per our purchasing policy, bids must be approved by council, and anything over $30,000 has to be approved by you. So the bids that came in, one was from DeVere Construction. Total bid package, that's including all alternates for that, was $823,523. So that was DeVere. GT Construction, Gary Cheeks, his total bid package, that's including alternates, was $579,530.12. So I know some of those alternates probably won't be happening. The base bid from Gary Cheeks was $497,000 and some change, and the base bid with DeVere Construction was $758,000. So the architect for the project, Tony Worley, thoroughly vetted the bids, and this week he presented his recommendation to approve the bid from GT Construction to the Tourism Commission. In turn, the Tourism Commission voted to send a recommendation to City Council to approve the bid from GT Construction. So after discussion, that's what I'm here to recommend, is that you approve that bid.
So you're requesting a motion to approve toll building renovations and awarding that to GT Construction?
Correct.
The maximum amount of $579, $530 and 12 cents, which includes alternates, with the understanding that the alternates may not be done.
Correct.
Is there a motion to approve by Jerry Little, second by Cora Jane Wilson? Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, I'll request a voice vote. All in favor of the motion to approve, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Thank you all very much. Rose, you still have the floor. Motion carries.
Thank you.
go
Very
right
good.
ahead.
Thank you. So the next thing I'd like to get approval for you on, I would request approval for a line overage for line item 010-1000-54530. This is the general liability line. Since I started this job, I've been working on straightening out all of our insurance with KLC. Some of it's been, it just seemed like a bit messy, and trying to figure out exactly which items go to which fund. And their bills, they come in just one lump sum. So BMU, tourism, all funds are together, and they don't really separate them out. So after careful review by Susan and myself, it was determined that the general fund was being undercharged for general liability insurance, and BMU was being overcharged. We were able to find supporting documents online, and this isn't good for us right now. It's good for Kevin's, but it's not good for us. So, and we were able to find supporting documents and split those out. So the total bill was $246,965.67, which the total bill is up $15,000. All insurance right now is pretty much up. We got reassessed on all of our values, and it didn't go well for us, as I don't think it did for anyone. But we had budgeted $125,000 in that line, in that general liability line. And after reviewing it, we believe that it should have been $182,050. That's what the bill came in at for us. So, and then just so you know, the BMU line had budgeted 115, and I didn't put the remainder, but about 65,000. So theirs went down substantially and ours went up substantially. So what I'm asking for is approval to go over on that line item and to amend it to 182,050 from the 125.
So you're requesting a motion under the general fund line item 010-1000-530 general liability insurance to approve the overage from $125,000 to $182,050. Is
That is correct.
Is there a motion? By Jim Davis and second by Katie Startzman. Is there any discussion on the motion? Steve and then Ronnie.
I would just make the point that we're only approving the overage. We'll still have to include this in the amended budget as a budget ordinance.
Yes,
Correct.
that is correct.
Budget Procedures Ordinance requires notification of the council and council approval to exceed that amount. Ronnie?
I like the idea of Kevin paying more. So I'd rather leave it. It makes us look better.
Teresa?
This is slightly off topic of that, but I know that, on topic but off topic. Several years ago, didn't the city bid out the insurance?
We did.
And, do we have a process whereby we do that every year, or is that
No.
sporadic?
We would do that from time to time, and that was 3 years ago.
It's been a while.
3 years ago. And ours still goes through the Kentucky League of Cities. Our general liability does.
Regardless? Okay, thank
Yeah,
you.
and Kentucky League of Cities is made up of cities just like us, and they operate on a razor-thin margin. Really, they're not making a big profit, and it's we're in a pool with other cities, and we insure through KLC. It's kind of like really utilities in the general fund. We are they, and they are us. We're all the same. So that's something that we can and probably should bid out in the future, but we would be looking more at brokers rather than the actual insurance, because unless there's a compelling reason, it's a lot cheaper, we should stick with KLC, in my opinion. I don't think we'll find anything cheaper. Jerry? We went back to Steve. You had a question, right? Okay.
I've got, we need to bid that insurance out, every 3 to 5 years. Now, if everybody remembers, the last time we bid it out, we saved over $200,000. And that's quite a bit of savings, 200 grand now. But that's been 7 or 8 years ago, I guess.
Probably about
How many years? I'm talking about when we bid it.
on the liability, probably 3, the liability and workers' comp.
You couldn't bid it every year, but you could bid it every 3 to 5, And I got one more thing.
Sure, go right ahead, Jerry.
On the toll building, the bid we just okayed here. Now, the Tourism Commissioners is the one that decided on the design and what's gonna be done on that building. All we've done here tonight is okay the bid. But it's Tourism Commission is the one that decided what they wanted to do and how they wanted to spend, and this did come out of Tourism Commission's money. I just want the public to know that, that's all.
Thank you, Jerry. Forgot where we're at. Now, we got a motion on the floor, don't we? There's a motion on the floor on liability. That would be to approve the overage from 125 to 182 and $50. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries and the overage is approved. Rose, you have the floor.
Okay, I have one more overage with insurance now. So fun. It's BMU's line, so they're not out of the woods, but it's not anywhere near as big. So it's right on the line of needing approval. It's line 200-1005-54340. The budget they had for that line item, and this is for property insurance, was $66,000, and the amount owed came to $71,875. And just so you know, on this line, similarly, the city was just under budget, so it was higher at we thought it would be this year, but we came in just under budget on that. So we do need approval for going over on that line item for BMU's budget.
So the request is to approve the overage on line item in the BMU budget, line item 200-1005-5340, from $66,000 to $71,875. Is that correct?
Yes.
Is there a motion? By Ronnie Terrell, second by Cora Jane. Is there any discussion on the motion to approve the overage? Seeing none, I'll ask for a voice vote. All in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say no. Motion carries. Rose, you have the floor.
Okay, I think I gave you enough work today. I don't have anything left in my report, but I will take questions if you have any.
All right, questions for Rose? All right, they're afraid you're gonna do another overage, Rose, so we'll
Thank you
consider
very
your
much.
report closed. Thank you. Thank you for the good report. All right, next item on the agenda is mayor's comments. The first thing I want to be sure that all of you are aware of, and I would encourage you to stop by around the Folk Center, is that the First Responders Camp's going on. I got there yesterday, and there are 27 young people that are really eager and glad that they have the opportunity to attend camp. I think that our firefighters and the police officers that were there, including Sean, who was flipping flapjacks in the back, I think they're just as excited as the kids to get this back on track. We've had to take a hiatus. We went 2 years, I think, with First Responders Camp, took time off due to COVID, but we really couldn't do that. And now we're back and back strong. So I'm really happy to see that happening, and I'm really proud of our police and fire departments for taking the initiative to connect with the kids and to provide the kids, many of whom would not have an opportunity to attend a camp of any sort, to attend a camp right here in our hometown. So compliments to all of you, and please let your staffs that are involved in that know that we all appreciate that. So just something to make the council aware of. And Sean and Jay, I'm sure that they would welcome any council members that wanted to come down and see the kids, right? It's this week through, I think Friday they're going to Kings Island, but the next couple of days. So if you get a chance to go down, I think the young people would be eager to meet you and see you. The next item that I have is, I did want to comment a little bit on the Craft Festival. We talked a lot about that, but Donna mentioned it, but this is the first year that we didn't have a consultant to manage that. And Donna and her team really bore most of the weight for that, to plan it and organize it. I too had several vendors as I would go by. I welcomed all the new vendors, but even with the vendors that had been there for a while, they said of all the festivals and the fairs that they attend, that this one was the best planned and the best organized. So that's the ultimate compliment for Donna and her team. And to her point, there were so many city employees, council members, Ronnie and Teresa, I know you all were very much involved with the fair over the weekend, that it really showed a true team spirit that I think has evolved. I think it's always been there, but now you're really seeing it among all of our city departments that are coming together and working together and trying to help each other. And this was a really good example of that. So hats off to Dawn and her team, but also to everybody who jumped in to help. And in case you guys, I witnessed with my own eyes Ronnie Terrell working just as hard as anybody, just where you'll know. I'm vouching for Ronnie. He was actually bringing people on his golf cart, bringing people back and forth and making sure people had transportation.
Do I get a raise?
No raise for you, Ronnie. So I don't know, maybe I'll buy you a cup of coffee. So, but Ronnie was working, and that's just a good example of how everybody pitched in. So compliments to all and for all the people that attended. The last thing I have is I did want to mention that we've had another significant development at the Central Kentucky Regional Airport. That is a real asset for our entire region, but especially the three governments in Madison County. George Wyatt, who is who's the chair and also is appointed by us to serve on the airport board, notified us that the Central Kentucky Regional Airport will receive a earmark grant of $3.5 million that was sponsored by Congressman Andy Barr, and this is for General Aviation Terminal Construction Project. So they're going to end up getting a real terminal at the airport. So our airport continues to grow. It supports all of our businesses throughout Madison County and the region, in particular industry throughout Madison County, but also very importantly the aviation program at Eastern Kentucky University. So we're very grateful to George and his team for working hard on that, and also for Congressman Barr, because as I understand it, that is an earmark. So it's put in one of the very few that he can do. So we're pleased to see them continue to grow, which is they are us and we are them too. So that's more good progress for our county. With that, yes, Ronnie. Just the only update I have on the bypass is that the roundabout is under construction right now. I went out and looked, and they tell me it just takes a matter of days to construct it, but I do not have a new opening date. But the roundabout will be installed before it's opened, is what I understand. So, and I have not, in fairness to the KYTC folks, I have not asked them for a revised date. Last date I had was June 30th, and we expect that this will go up into the end of July. So hopefully we'll get that opened up soon. And David, we've tried to keep them off. I called KYTC, and they had their own company move the road closed signs back, and then somebody will move them right back. But we've been fighting that battle, and I know police department's been patrolling that some too, giving people warnings if they get on it. That concludes my report, and next we'll move to council comments, and we'll begin with Ron Terrell.
No comment.
Thank you, Ronnie. Cora Jane?
No comment. Thank you all for coming.
Steve Cottle. Steve?
No comment.
All right. Maybe I should start this again. Did I do something wrong here? No, sorry. Moving on to Jerry Little. Jerry? All right. David?
I'll have to break the streak, I guess.
All right. Catch your mic there, brother.
Crew that put on the festival. I've been there, done that. They present some real challenges. I think we can support the future of those things. And then the first responders thing, I strongly believe that that's a good thing, long term. As young people mostly grow older, I think it's important that we reach out to the services that are police and fire.
Thank you, David. Katie?
No comment.
Teresa?
No comment.
Jim?
I got comments.
All right. Carry on.
Would like to announce that on Monday, August the 14th, 6 p.m., will be an Economic Development Committee meeting next door in, I guess, the Randy Stone room at 6 p.m. I would like to thank Donna and her crew and everybody that worked on the festival. I was out there Saturday, and you couldn't stir people with a stick. And I stood out as people were walking out, and it surprised me the number of people that had packages. They were carrying merchandise out with them. So that's great. Casey, congratulations on your new job. Bless your heart, son. I don't envy you at all. And police department, fire department, thank you all for your camping. That's it.
Thank you, Jim. That brings us to the end of our agenda. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
By David Rowlett, second by Steve Cottle. All in favor of the motion to adjourn, please say aye.
Aye.